Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Guardian webinar taking place this morning here in Brighton. It may be evening, afternoon where you are. It's lovely to see you. My name is Jono, and I am the Deputy Principal Pastoral and Wellbeing here at Oxford International College in Brighton. And it's great to have you with us today. And I've got an opportunity to speak to you today about guardianship and the role and responsibilities of guardians here at OIC Brighton. So what I'm going to do, if it's okay, I'm just going to wait maybe 30 seconds for the remainder of our guests just to arrive, and then I'm going to get going. So you're very welcome this morning. It's lovely to see you, and we'll get going in about 1 minute's time. Just let any latecomers just join. Okay, right, well, let's get started then. And thank you again for taking the time to join me today for our Guardians webinar for OIC Brighton. We're really looking forward to having all of our new students joining us in August or September coming up. And it's great to have you with us. Again, to introduce myself, my name is Jono Melia. I'm the Deputy Principal Pastoral and Wellbeing here at OIC Brighton, and I oversee pastoral care, safeguarding, health and safety, and wellbeing. And my responsibilities are to make sure that the students have the best possible experience in their time here. And it's a real pleasure to be with you presenting this webinar this morning. And it's going to be particularly focusing on OICB and what we are about, and giving you a really good understanding of the college, and then moving into, towards the end, our responsibilities and your responsibilities as guardians for students here at OIC Brighton as well. So I'm going to get going, and I'm going to give you an overview of the college, just so you get a really good understanding of who we are and what we're about. And then we'll move on to some more specific details regarding guardianship. And then at the end, I'd be very happy to take any questions that anyone might have. I think there's a Q&A box that you can drop those questions into that I can keep an eye on. Okay, so our aims. I think I'll start with the aims of the college. You'll know this from the different information and sort of areas that you've looked at already with perhaps my colleagues or through looking at our website. But our aims are that we are a highly academic environment, but within that we make absolutely no compromises about student wellbeing, which is absolutely paramount and something we're incredibly proud of. We are a welcoming community, and we make sure to maintain really high expectations for hard work, for self-discipline, and also constant challenge for our students as well. And we've got a fabulous bespoke curriculum that allows for specialisation whilst also retaining breadth of excellence, and really supports students, giving them the skills required for future success, whether that's university preparation or career preparation as well. And we very much follow an assessment-based approach here, as similar to our sister college, OIC Oxford. And what this does is it gives us some really brilliant data to talk to us about students' academic progress, but it also supports us to have a really good understanding of their well-being, and making sure that we use this data to tailor everything we do for our students. So those are our aims. And now I'm going to just introduce you virtually to some members of the team, not here in person, but by photo. So in front of you on the slides, you'll see our leadership team. We are all very happy to answer any questions that you have. So please, I'll give you some contact details towards the end of these slides that you can reach out to if necessary. But we've got our principal, Tess, founding principal Tess, who leads the college here. I know has recently been out to China and Hong Kong, and hopefully you've all either had an opportunity to meet Tess or to speak to her in person. So I've introduced Tess, and then we've got Dr. Gemma Hannon, who's our Deputy Principal Academic, who oversees all academic matters within the college. Myself, I've already introduced, and then we've got Jamie, our Director of Studies, who oversees student data and academic progress of the students. Tom Galvin, our Super Curriculum Manager, who oversees all the brilliant things that students are doing outside of their academic activities. And then we've got Dr. Kirsten Dickers joining us as Head of Sixth Form and Careers, who will make sure that all of our students within the sixth form and heading towards the sixth form will have everything they need for preparation for university and careers. And then we've got Dr. Isabel Brent is our Head of Boarding, and we'll be very happy to take any questions that you may have specifically about boarding or the boarding accommodation, and I'll share some contact details with you towards the end of these slides. And then we've got Joanna Clark, who's our Director of Admissions and Marketing, who I'm sure you've all had an opportunity to either speak to or to have different communications with over email. And again, really happy to take any questions that you may have. Okay, so that's our leadership team. Now I'm going to just show you some of our facilities and our location, and then I'll go on to talk about sort of what we're actually doing on the ground here at OICB for all of our students. So we're really fortunate here at OIC Brighton to have some really state-of-the-art facilities, and we're also in a fantastic location right by the South Downs National Park, one of a few national parks in the UK, as well as being a short walk down to the beach as well. And we really pride ourselves on our location and all the well-being benefits that brings for our students who are regularly using both our campus, which has a sort of woodland on site, and we've got a well-being walk through the woodland, and also use obviously the outside space as well for sports activities and other activities. So you'll see on the slides there now that this is sort of an aerial view of our current campus. So we've got two different boarding houses. Currently, that will be 3 boarding houses on campus from August. And then we will have an additional boarding house, which is going to be based in the centre of Brighton as well. So we will have 4 boarding houses. They are called Abacus, which is our off-campus sixth form boarding house. And then we have Ainsworth, which is a boarding house generally for sort of year 9 to 11 students, which is on the left-hand side of the campus. And then we've got Ovingdean Hall boarding house as well, which will be for students sort of mainly within year 11 and year 12. And then finally on the right-hand side of the campus, you can see number 7 is Turing boarding house. That's our on-campus sixth form boarding facility. And you'll see there's future development. We're constantly developing the site here, and we've got some really exciting new developments taking place, which we'll continue to communicate with you, but it's going to feature new boarding spaces, bespoke teaching spaces, as we continue to develop the best world-class facilities here down in Brighton. So there's some really exciting things happening there. So just some spaces for you to see. I know that some of you won't have managed to be here in person in Brighton. So our Peacock Room is a study space and a library. You've got an example of one of the boarding house common rooms where students would go to of an evening to socialise, enjoy themselves, maybe watch a movie for a bit of downtime as well. Our Pioneers Cafe, which is one of 2 dining spaces where our students can eat in sort of quite a informal sort of cafe style with a really great range of catering facilities. Our gym, which is really regularly used, and again, we know that staying active is absolutely key for student wellbeing. Student services is a real hub within the college where students can come to for any needs that they may have, be it picking up post, or if they need help with getting flights sorted or taxis booked and ordered, anything like that, our student services team will support. And that's where our head of boarding and some of our other key staff will be based as well. And then we've got the Pavilion Dining Hall, which is a really wonderful space which our students have their lunch in, combined with the cafe, and they also have breakfast and dinner there as well. So there's some examples of some of the facilities we have on site, and then some of our teaching spaces. Again, everything we have on site has been designed to give the best outcomes from an academic perspective, and we've got university standard science labs that you can see in front of you, which our students really obviously love using, as well as a variety of other teaching spaces on campus as well, to make sure that the best teaching facilities are available. Okay, I'm going to speak briefly now about some of our aims as a college, and some of our sort of key pillars, and the first one being academic excellence. And there are really sort of three pillars that we have as a college. They are academic excellence, personal development, and career and university preparation. And you'll see, looking at the picture there, that we really do see all of those areas overlapping with one another. We believe really strongly that someone whose well-being and personal development is in a really strong place will aid them to have the best academic outcomes, and then that will obviously make sure that within that they're prepared for career and university preparation as well. So that's all there for in terms of our aims, and then I'm going to come into sort of looking at the different sections. So academic excellence, one of the ways that we make sure that we've got all the latest information and really regular updates for our students is through regular assessment. And what that looks like is what we would call skits, which would be regular weekly or bi-weekly assessments which take place and just first of all give students an opportunity to test their knowledge that they've learned maybe in the week or two before those assessments, and then an opportunity to consolidate those as they go through the year, and gives us a really good example of some data which is going to be supportive for those students, and make sure that we're giving them the best possible attention in areas that they may need to improve on. Again, I will just mention, as I can see a few things coming through on the chat, if you can't see any slides, then please do just dive out of the call, press leave the call, come back in, and then those slides should be absolutely accessible for you to see. And then obviously we've got our mock exams, which take place towards the end of sort of different course content that gets covered, and make sort of those end of term assessments. And then in addition to that, we make sure that we're doing lots and lots of regular feedback, whether that's our strategy tutors sitting down and giving feedback on all of that data that we've collected, as well as making sure that we're giving really regular reporting updates to parents. And as guardians, you would also have access to that information as well. We really are what we would describe as a data-rich environment. We use that to the best of its ability to make sure that we're informing you of exactly how your son and daughter or student from a guardianship perspective is doing, so that you can keep in regular contact with them as well, and also ask us any questions you may have. I just want to show you now briefly, we have a parent portal which both our parents and guardians will have access to, and you'll receive details of how to access this portal nearer to the start of the academic year. Essentially, it's an online website where you would log in with your details, and then once you get onto that portal, there's lots of really helpful information on there. We've got the school calendar, and then there's opportunity to look at your a student's timetable that either you're a parent or guardian of, look at their report, and also you can have a look at how they're getting on from a rewards perspective as well, so that you can keep tabs on all the great things that they are doing and achieving. And up the top of the page, you'll see that there's also an opportunity to look at communication and make sure that all of the settings that you would like to have in place from a communications perspective are in place as well, in terms of what we send you. But we are very keen to keep you as well informed as possible with regular communications. So looking now at some of those particular pages that you can access, you have access to the timetable, which will show you exactly what lessons students are in. And usually when you go on that, the particular lesson that's highlighted yellow would be the lesson that's taking place at the moment, obviously subject taking into account time difference as well. And then we've got access to reward and conduct. So if there's been sort of any merits or demerits that a student has had, you can see exactly what they may be for, as well as looking at reports in lots of detail to make sure you have that. Following on from that, there's also the spring term or the end of term reports at the end of the winter, summer and spring, which has a really clear breakdown of SCIT assessments, which are the regular assessments that take place, have sort of the midterm results as well. And then we'll have a comment from teachers too, to make sure that you're getting that really good feedback on each individual subject on how a student is doing. So that's all at your fingertips through a login, and you can look at that as and when you would like to, and obviously communicate with us about any questions you have on that throughout the term via the strategy tutor, the house parent, and also any of us on the leadership team would be happy to speak to you too. Now, this is a sort of a back end of a data dashboard that we have as staff, and what you'll see really is that we are collecting lots and lots of data on each student to make sure that we're tracking how they are doing academically, and that we are hoping obviously to see those results sort of gradually to continue to improve to the best of the student's ability. And it's this data that makes us keep you as well informed as possible as to how a student is doing. And if there's a particular area, for example, in a SCIT where they've perhaps not scored as highly as they would have liked to, then it really highlights that and means that we can go back and support that student with that as we continue through the academic year. So you'll see there the academic excellence kind of speaks for itself in terms of the data we have and how we support our students. I'm going to move on now to talk about our super curriculum. And our super curriculum is a fantastic offering for our young people on campus to make sure that in addition to that academic excellence, that they are getting a whole wealth of different experiences to both challenge themselves, but also to give them some really good experience and some good things to talk about when it comes to university applications and potential future careers as well. So our super curriculum is sort of drawn up in a variety of different aspects. We have regular awards and competitions running. We've got inter-house competitions. Students are all part of an academic house that compete regularly, both from an academic perspective, but also from a super curricular, be that sport or the arts or any other aspect of the super curriculum. There's competitions that take place. There's additional academic challenge and support for particular areas of interest that students can look into. It's also a great opportunity for additional qualifications, such as EPQ or other sort of extended project qualifications that they can get alongside doing the sort of national exams that they would do here through sort of IGCSEs and A-levels. And there's also an opportunity for careers and university preparation, which I'll talk about shortly. And obviously, clubs and societies run here at OICB in abundance. We've got loads and loads of different activities that take place each evening so that students can be a part of those and enjoy either learning a new skill or getting alongside their friends and doing sort of an enjoyable activity which will support both their development but also their well-being too. So again, I'm not going to go through this entire list, but you'll see on the screen in front of you some examples of things that happen within our super curriculum, which is in addition to our curriculum, which takes place on a daily basis. Loads of fantastic opportunities, lots of trips and off-campus experiences, as well as different qualifications that students are able to do, music lessons, language tuition, all sorts of different things to make sure that our students are getting a really fantastic, well-rounded experience here at OICB. So careers pathway, we have a specific sort of pathway that we run weekly on Thursdays. And essentially what we will do with this is right the way through the school, we ask students to be thinking about which particular career pathway they may be thinking about moving towards. Some may have, really obvious without doubt, this is what I want to do. I want to study medicine or whatever it may be at university. And so they will join a particular pathway. But also those who aren't so sure, it just gives them an opportunity to sort of dip in and out of each pathway to find out where they what they may want to do in the future. So there's 3 pathways: the healthcare and biological science pathway, physical science and maths pathway, and the social science, humanities and commerce. And they run every week, and there's a variety of careers masterclasses where we get professionals who are, at the top of their field, whether that's, medical professionals or those working within the finance industry, coming into college and speaking to our young people about their experience and what careers in that particular area might look like. And there's workshops, directed study that takes place, all with a view to preparing our students best for university moving forward, so that we know exactly what it is that they want to do and can support them. And obviously alongside that, we support students with that decision making as well. So that's something that we're really keen to do. Moving on, looking at super curriculum, sports and activities play a really key part in our provision. We've got a great outdoor space right on our doorstep here on campus. We've got a range of excellent local facilities that we use. You can see in front of you there, sort of the climbing wall, sports halls, etc. We've got all of those within a very short distance from the college that we're regularly using, and making sure that we're encouraging all of our students to take part in activities and to play for college teams in different sports as well, which is something the students have really enjoyed this year. I'm going to move on now to talk particularly about something that's incredibly close to my heart, and I've got a real privilege of overseeing here at OIC Brighton, which is our wellbeing and support programme. And you will see in front of you that there are 5 candy sticks of rock, and this is essentially our wellbeing programme. And if I could just take a moment to describe it to you. A stick of Brighton rock is quite a famous candy present that people buy when they come to Brighton or any seaside destination within the UK. And what we have with a stick of rock is you have a word that runs right the way through it. Wherever you may bite it or break it, it would say something along the lines of Brighton Pier or sort of a local tourist attraction within it. And we talk here using that analogy about well-being running through the center of everything that we do. So if you imagine the word well-being running through a stick of rock, whether we're talking about academic excellence, personal development, or career pathway, whichever area we're looking at, well-being is right running through the center of that, because that is out of a place of positive well-being where our students are going to flourish the most. And then if we break that down, we have worked alongside the New Economics Foundation, who have the well-known 5 ways to well-being, which are data proven, scientifically proven to be 5 ways that massively improve and support well-being. And we've got our own version of it. We call it Brighton Rocks. And we're encouraging our young people to relate to one another. So we're really encouraging those relationships, especially for our new students joining us, becoming part of that community that is really so strong here. To take a moment to stop and observe, especially our young sort of medical students, to observe the world around us and take a moment to take that in is really important, especially on the beautiful campus that we have here. Care, we know that the gift of giving, so giving a present at someone's birthday or Christmas, intrinsically does something good within us. And we talk about the importance of giving back to both society and to one another, and to looking out for each other. So we're really purposeful about caring for one another, and having sort of different charitable initiatives that our students are supporting. Obviously, throughout every day, our students here are going to keep learning, which again is really important for well-being, and supporting learning new information we know is really a positive for student well-being. And as I've spoken about, staying active, encouraging all of our students to do that too, to stay active. And we record data from our students in these 5 different areas to make sure that we are encouraging them in all of these areas. So that's something that we do on a daily and a weekly basis. And our life skills curriculum is formed around these 5 ways to well-being, and students have a lesson in that every week as well to make sure that we're teaching them about the benefits of good health and healthy lifestyles, as well as really important aspects of growing up as well. And our wellbeing approach is underpinned by 5 key components. We've worked really closely, as I said, with the New Economics Foundation. We've also had some great conversations with the universities of both Oxford and Cambridge regarding some really key research and how we've developed our programme. And we want all of our students and what we're doing here at OIC Brighton to be pioneering. Our cafe is called Pioneers because we see our young people as pioneers of the future. We listen to students incredibly carefully and regularly. We've got a student council that meets weekly and feeds back to us about issues within the college so that our wellbeing programme can be student-centred. And as I've talked about, both academically and from a wellbeing perspective, our approach is really data-driven, so that we're essentially responding to the statistics and making sure that everything that we do is informed by data. And obviously it goes without saying that it's a location-specific as well in the glorious countryside just outside of Brighton, especially on a day like today, a summer's day where it's sort of around 26, 27 degrees. It's a really beautiful place to be, and we know the importance of the great outdoors for well-being too. Again, pastoral support is incredibly important. So each student is allocated a strategy tutor who takes care of them on a really individual level. They will meet daily with the group on 2 occasions to touch base with their strategy tutor group. And then every fortnight they have a one-to-one meeting with each student to look at both academic performance and pastoral well-being and sort of the care of the student as well, to make sure that they are as happy as they can possibly be. Our boarding team, we've got a fabulous boarding team across the 4 different boarding houses that we have, wonderfully led by Dr. Isabel. And yeah, really just excited to have, if your child or student is a boarder, to have so many young people living on campus. And then we've got heads of year, which is going to be a new position for next academic year. And this will be a really helpful point of contact for you as both guardians and parents to speak to that head of year 9, 10, 11 or 6th form, to pass on any questions you may have, and to sort of have any concerns that you may have answered, so that you've got the best possible picture of what's happening here at OICB. Just going to take a moment now just to speak about Head Start. We have a Head Start programme which runs for 2 weeks before our official start of term. This is for students in years 11, 12 and 13. Years 9 and 10 don't come to Head Start, and we would expect students in years 9 and 10 to be arriving on campus from 9 a.m. on Sunday the 1st of September for a 2nd of September start of lessons. But our Head Start programme runs from Monday the 19th of August for our students in year 11, 12 and 13. And this just gives a really great opportunity for our students to, if they're doing the 1 year GCSE, to make sure that they're getting in a couple of weeks ahead of term starting, to make sure those baseline assessments are done, that any university visits that might take place are there, and to get HPQ projects set up. And then with our year 12s coming in as well, it just gives them that sort of boost and real beneficial head start ahead of term starting, to make sure they hit the ground running from term start on the 2nd of September. And then for our year 13s, they've got a really fantastic pro-ed course, which they go on based at Imperial University, who we're working closely with to get really hands-on experience, both of university courses, but also careers that they may potentially want to go into as well. Any questions you may have about Head Start, please do send them to us, either at inquiries@oicbrighton.com or to our admissions team, who'd be very happy to answer any questions you have on those. But again, I'm happy to take any questions that you guys might have at the end of this session. And really importantly, we have an academic English pathway which supports students where English is an additional language. This is really individualized support and will take our students who have English as a second or third language to make sure they're consolidating their learning, to reinforce anything that they've been understanding since they sort of touched down here in the UK. And it's a really individualized program. It's for certain students, depending on English level, it is a compulsory program that we really require students to move forward with. And it really, really benefits their development of the English language. And we've had some really great examples this year of where students have gone through that academic English pathway and hugely improved their English levels this year whilst they've been with us here at OICB. So again, something we really encourage our students to do. And obviously, if they're opted into that programme, then our expectation is they do attend all of those lessons. I'm going to move on now to speak briefly about boarding. We've got a fantastic boarding experience here at OIC Brighton. As I said earlier, we've got 3 boarding houses on campus for year 9 right the way through to 6th form, and we also have off-campus boarding as well. The bedrooms both here on campus and off campus are really comfortable, loads of space for study, for sort of personal bit of privacy as well, and making sure that they're fully equipped for the best sleep possible. And within that, we've got a boarding team that works really closely with our students. So each boarding house will have a house parent who will be in charge of overseeing that house, as well as a team of boarding assistants that will be supporting students as well. And our boarding team are essentially on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to support students and to answer their needs and to make sure that they're getting all important sleep, and so that they can get to the best possible outcome from their studies. Laundry is all available on site, and we support students with the use of that. And as I said earlier, we've got a variety of different boarding houses depending on year group. And so we also have our off-campus boarding facility for students in year 12 and 13, so 6th form students. And this is one way that we are able to absolutely guarantee that students can have a single room with ensuite bathrooms. So if that's something that you're keen to make sure that your student or your child has, then and they're in the 6th form, then we can absolutely guarantee that at our boarding house in the centre of Brighton. I've paid many visits to Abacus House. It's a wonderful setting right in the centre of Brighton. It's about a 15-minute drive to campus, and so there are lots of different questions. I'm happy to pick up on that, but essentially we've got students coming into campus at the start of the day and off campus at the end of the day. All of their meals are provided on campus, and any sort of return to the boarding house during the college day would be on a case-by-case basis, depending on a student's timetable, which obviously takes priority. There's 24-hour security there. We've got a great team working there on site, and both myself and Isabel, as our head of boarding, will be regularly visiting Abacus House to make sure the students are having the best possible experience there. And they've got, access to a great outdoor space, and is going to very much be a great part of our community as one of our 4 boarding houses. Again, here's just some photos and examples of what that looks like. Students will be sort of clustered into flats of up to sort of 7 flatmates, where they'll have a shared kitchen and place to sort of cook, which you can see now on the screen in front of you. A place to hang out in as well. And so there's also going to be access to that outside space for all the students to socialise, and then there'll be particular spaces that they can use on campus as well. In terms of any FAQs there, I've spoken about the timings for buses running, and it's one bus. So students, we will support them to make sure they're getting up on time and getting on that bus on time. And it will be heading ahead of sort of the rush hour here in Brighton to get them onto campus nice and early and quickly, so they can have breakfast and then get into their lessons. In terms of catering, all of that catering will be provided on campus, but we will also have sort of other facilities for some catering to be provided from sort of a snack or light breakfast option on site in the boarding house. And then obviously students will have their own kitchen as well, if they did want to utilise that, which will obviously be closely supervised by staff. There's areas to socialise. It's very secure. There's actually 3 sort of access controlled entrance doors or gates that students need to go through in order to get into the boarding house. So there's 3 points at which someone would be stopped trying to enter, and that's obviously right at the front and foremost of our thinking in terms of student safety and security. And obviously, if you did want sort of a single ensuite on campus, we're not able to guarantee those are on campus due to demand and the majority of our rooms on campus being twin share rooms. But obviously, if your child or student did have that preference, then please do reach out to us. There are still a few limited spaces available at our off-campus boarding facility. So there we go, there's off-site provision. Now, a topic very close to many teenagers' hearts is food and catering. Our catering here at OIC Brighton is incredible. We provide a brilliant breakfast, lunch and dinner menu with a variety of different options. We've got brilliant trained chefs from all over the globe, be that chefs from Europe or from Asia as well. We've got a Thai wok station, which is incredibly popular lunch option for some of our students. And then we've obviously got a lighter lunch option as well available in the cafe. And there'll be facilities on site for students to purchase hot drinks, coffees, teas, etc. if they wanted to, in sort of a cafe style too. And we just make sure that all of our meals are regularly rotated, and those menus will be sent out regularly to you as part of our newsletter as well, so that you know what your child is having to eat from a nutritional point of view. Our students in year 9 to 11 wear uniform. That uniform is available to purchase online. And again, you'll be sent information of exactly how to get hold of that uniform, so that you've got that in plenty of time for when students arrive. And that's compulsory for students in years 9 to 11. Really smart chinos, polo shirt, as well as sports kit to use. And then our sixth formers, year 12 and 13, are able to wear their own clothes. They don't have to wear uniform, but they can do if they choose to, as well as they can use college sportswear as well if they want to. But obviously we ask that students are sort of smart when they're coming onto campus in their own clothes, because it is a very much a learning environment. And then we've also, just to mention on uniform as well, that we also have a uniform shop on campus, which students can purchase uniform from and have it either added either directly to their student bill with obviously parent and guardian permission, or they can purchase that separately in the college as well. Delighted to introduce Co-Assemble to you, which is a interactive pre-arrival pack. You will be sent a link to this if you haven't already, and this has all the information you could possibly need about your child or student's start here at OIC Brighton. You'll get there's some welcome videos from us as a leadership team, so you get a bit of a view for the areas that we oversee. There's lots of great information there. We've got student videos, and any questions that you may have, I'm sure there'll be an answer to be found on there. And most importantly, this is where our forms are kept that have to be completed. They're compulsory to complete before arrival. So as soon as you have a link for Co-Assemble, there's a variety of different forms and information that we need to make sure we're taking the best possible care of your child or students here. And we would ask you to make sure that you are completing those, and make sure that families and students are completing those ahead of time, so that we can best prepare for the year ahead. We are on a variety of different social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Do give us a follow to keep a close eye on everything that's happening here at Oxford International College in Brighton. There's loads of regular updates on those different platforms, and a really exciting interactive way of staying in touch with what is going on here on the ground. I've spoken a lot about our campus. We're also in a wonderfully vibrant city of Brighton and Hove. It's a top tourist destination within Europe. It's one of the places that's been voted best places to live in the UK on multiple different surveys. So we're literally a 10-minute drive away from central Brighton. And obviously our students have opportunities to go off campus at the weekend. And for our older students, there's opportunities to do that of an evening as well. And that's obviously really carefully managed by our boarding team. There's so much to see and do from an arts and cultural perspective in Brighton, as well as it being a really sort of fun and vibrant, cool place for young people to be and to grow up in. And also the centre of sort of some really major companies as well. For example, American Express's European headquarters are based in Brighton, so it's a real great base for commerce and commercial activity as well. So Reach software is our boarding software which we use, and that essentially is a triangulation system. That means that if a student would like to leave campus, they make a request using the Reach app. We will send you as guardians and parents all the instructions you need to sign up to this. And how it works is the student submits a request, and then that request is triangulated both. So we need either parental permission, or if that's not available, then a guardian's permission. And then we as a school, if we're happy with the details on there, would accept and grant that permission and know that a student needs to be back at a certain time. So that is OICB in a quick whirlwind of sort of 30-40 minutes. I hope that was really helpful. Now I'm going to talk to you specifically about the role of a guardian, which is incredibly important. And also there's sort of quite a lot of stipulations and statutory guidance that we have to follow as a college, and therefore you have to follow as both parents and guardians. So essentially what we have to have, and each student has to have here, especially our sponsored students, is they have to have a guardian that acts on sort of parents' behalf. And there may be a whole host of reasons why a guardian needs to be contacted. Obviously, for our international families, it may be that a student is taken quite unwell for an extended period of time, where we might need someone in the UK or certainly local to within close to Brighton to support that student, or it may also be different examples where a student needs to stay with a guardian for other reasons as well. So you can see there that there's different legal acts here within the UK that make sure that proper appropriate care are arranged. So it is a legal requirement that everyone who is not a day student here at Oxford International College Brighton and is a sponsored student has a guardian. There's some really specific criteria that needs to be followed here. So again, hopefully this is helpful information. Our college policy is that guardians must be over the age of 25. They can't be students in full-time education, must be UK residents living full-time within the UK. We ask that they are within 3 hours of travel of the school. So quite a few of our guardians live in London, which is certainly less than 3 hours, but only about an hour away from Brighton. And we want to make sure that those guardians can be able to communicate clearly and comfortably in English for any issues that there may be. And we would ask that families who don't have access to sort of a relative or family friend who meets all these conditions, that a suitable guardian obviously needs to be found. And there's different guardian associations and organisations that you can contact, and we're very happy to recommend those to you as well. So please do reach out if you need any support with that. Obviously, there's some really clear guidance there, but everybody needs to have a guardian, and there's a guardianship form that you will need to fill out as part of that onboarding process through our co-assemble platform. So please do make sure all of those details are on there. And again, if you need any support with recommendations for guardianship companies, then please do reach out to us. And so what are the responsibilities of a guardian? They are a 24-hour point of contact for both parents and students in OIC Brighton. Obviously, in the event of emergency, they would essentially act with parental authority that's delegated in an emergency situation where we're not able to get hold of parents. Obviously, they provide that additional layer of support for students. We really encourage and welcome guardians to come on site and to meet with students each sort of half term or termly or more often to make sure that their students having the best possible experience. We talk with guardians about holiday arrangements and make sure that that's all in place, as well as travel arrangements. Medical provision as well is something that we'd be liaising with both guardians and parents on. And yeah, just making sure that there's really clear communication about arrival and departure travel as well. And so a guardian plays a really, really key role. And obviously, we're really grateful to the many different guardians that work with our students and with us as a college. And again, if you've got any questions on appointing a guardian, which anyone who's an international student will need to do, then we'd be very happy to support with that. Okay, I've got around 10 minutes now for any questions that you may want to ask. I'd be really happy to answer any questions either through the Q&A or through the chat function, which I know a few of you are using, or if some of you wanted to unmute as well, I'll come to you in person if you're, although you may not be able to do that. In fact, I can see you're not able to do that. So please could I ask for any questions to come through either via the Q&A platform at the top of the webinar or through the chat. If you look at the top, you can see there's a chat function or there's a Q&A, and you just click on the Ask a Question button. But I will start by answering some questions as they come through. Okay. Is this PowerPoint going to be shared after the webinar? There will absolutely be a recording of this webinar, and there will likely be a link to this PowerPoint as well, so that you can have access to that. Jo, did you want to say anything else on that?
Yes, hi. Hello, everybody. Yes, we will share the link to the webinar in the CoAssemble platform, and we'll also send it via iSams. So there will be a copy sent after today. Thanks,
Jo. Some other questions coming in. Can the student have a MacBook instead of a Microsoft laptop for year 9 or 10? The answer to that question is yes, they can. Our recommendation would be using sort of a Microsoft platform, though, because the majority of the services that we use both within lessons and outside of lessons is run through Microsoft, be that Microsoft Teams or Microsoft OneNote, all of which I know can be accessed on a MacBook, but our preference would be, and I know certainly our students who've had Microsoft equipment have found that to be the most useful. Touchscreen and stylus, yes, we would recommend. It's not an absolute must, but we would certainly again recommend something that has either both a stylus and a touchscreen capability for ease of uploading work live during lessons, and something like a Microsoft Surface Pro would be sort of a recommended item. But again, if you need specific recommendations, if you reach out to us, we'd be very happy to look at that. Jo, student visa question. I know that we've been working very hard on that behind the scenes. I think just a question about when that's going to be issued.
We anticipate student visas, so the CAS, which is the Confirmation Acceptance of Studies, hopefully to be sent out, I would say, towards the back end of the first week of July. So if we say from the second week of July, I think we're fairly safe. That will give everybody plenty of time to apply for their visas ahead of either their pre-sessional head start or the 2nd of September start. But if you are having any problems once we've issued those CAS, please do contact myself or the team. We will be here all over the summer, so they're available.
Thanks, Jo. Right, some more questions coming through. Thank you for your nice comments about the presentation. I'm glad it has been helpful. We absolutely do offer a Duke of Edinburgh scheme. We've had 2 or 3 different groups already this academic year heading off on their Duke of Edinburgh, or DofE as they sort of abbreviate it, to excursions and gaining different certificates, bronze and silver level. So that's definitely something that's possible and is part of our super curriculum offer, and is really popular with our students, especially given we're based right by the South Downs National Park. Students, yes, are allowed to and encouraged to bring computer sort of devices. We would ask that they would be portable, so something like a laptop or a Surface would be best. We don't want students bringing sort of desktop computers, and also we wouldn't allow students to have sort of games consoles in their rooms either, just to be really clear on that, because there's a whole host of reasons, and we've got communal ones that students can use as appropriate under supervision of staff. Okay, more questions coming in. Is there any restriction for mobile phone use for students? Yes. Again, this is sort of age dependent and appropriate, but we, for our younger students, we ask them to hand in their phones overnight. We think that it's conducive to a good night's sleep to not have your phone with you all night. Certainly for our younger students, we want to encourage and empower our older students in sixth form to use their devices responsibly, but obviously on a case-by-case basis. If we don't feel that's happening, then we would remove mobile phone devices. But students generally during the day can't have their mobile phones out because they're concentrating on their studies, but they will be able to have access to mobile phones at break times or after school, so that they can contact either you as guardians or parents at home as well. So yes, there are phone restrictions on college site. Yes, private buses are absolutely going to be provided for students on Abacus House. Good question, and it's a question that I'm looking forward to answering and tackling in September. If a student wakes up after 7:30 a.m. and misses the morning bus, how will they be able to arrive at the school campus? Obviously, our preference and encouragement to all the students, and we're going to have a really great team supporting students with this, to get on the bus at 7:30 is without doubt our preference, and that's what we will be working towards. If that's not possible, then we would arrange private transport for a student to be brought onto campus. But just to be really clear in this setting, our expectation would absolutely for students to be to catch the bus onto campus. And if there were someone who were regularly missing the bus onto campus because they weren't able to get out of bed or get to the bus on time, then we would certainly suggest that the off-campus boarding facility may not be the best option for them. But we will keep in regular liaison for you. We see our off-campus boarding facility as a stepping stone to university sort of accommodation and life, and preparing for being responsible. So yes, we're going to help students with that, but also that we're going to have quite high expectations that they do get on that bus. And our expectations for all students on campus will be to be at breakfast, so that our students on campus will be getting up out of bed as well to get to breakfast. So there shouldn't be too much of a difference there. Okay, more questions as we go. Pre-session course for grade 12 students on August the 19th. Where do they live? Again, a very good question. Any students that are going to be preferring to live on Abacus House, that will open on the weekend of the end of August. So that will be the weekend of the 31st of August. Likely move-in date would be Sunday the 1st of September. And any students coming to Head Start that are living in Abacus would be on campus for the first 2 weeks, living on campus for the first 2 weeks of Head Start before moving into their off-campus accommodation. And yeah, we're sure that that's going to be a really helpful experience for them to get sort of incorporated into college life for those first 2 weeks. Yeah, thanks, Joe, jumping in on some of the questions here. So do have a look in the chat if you've asked questions. I can see Joe's answering some really helpfully. Boarding houses open over the Easter holidays, Joe. My understanding is the college is closed over Easter. Can you confirm?
Yes, that's right. So we close for Christmas, Easter, and summer holidays. We have a really good document in the CoAssemble platform called Term Dates. It's in the important documents to read, with really clear dates as to when you can arrive and when you can leave. So please do go and have a look at that. If you can't find it, then please contact me at admissions at OIC Brighton, and I'll send it off to you.
Thank you very much for that, Jo. Any other questions? Let's have a look. Do all Year 12 students attend the Head Start course? Our encouragement for 1 year GCSE is Year 11, and for Year 12 is that they do attend the Head Start course. Jo, could you just remind me in terms of whether it's compulsory for Year 12 or not?
Yeah, of course. So for our incoming 1 year GCSE students, it's compulsory and part of the programme. And indeed, for our new Year 12 incoming students, it's also compulsory. Very important part of that settling in, and also a foundation and introduction to A-level courses. So it does form part of the offer. And the expectation is that all new Year 12 students will attend Head Start. Of course, if there's any specific reason why that's not possible, again, please do contact me on admissions at OIC Brighton, and we can talk about it offline.
So some quick fire questions now. Abacus House is mixed, and it's sixth form, and that's obviously going to be very carefully controlled by sort of gender separation within the house. But yes, it is a mixed house with a boys floors and girls floors, if that makes sense. Musical instruments lessons, there's loads of different opportunities for that, and so we've got the likes of piano, violin, guitar, you name it. We've got individual lessons that can be arranged, and again, that information will be sent on that as part of our super curriculum program. Just some final questions as we wrap up. Students can stay in boarding houses if they don't go back to their home. That is correct. Yes. So half term we call enrichment weeks. And yes, guardians absolutely can come during Head Start to speak to students, and we would absolutely encourage that. And we'd also encourage, if at Easter, for example, a student doesn't want to return home, then there may be potential for an arrangement for them to stay with a guardian in the UK. So please obviously do liaise with families about that. Final question I'm going to take before we shut is ideally we want uniforms to be purchased in advance, just to know that we've got it, as students have got it. If absolutely necessary, if they had 1 or 2 items they didn't have, they could buy it on the first day. But that our preference would be to order that online, but it would be available if necessary. And final question is, currently 10 students, it's not compulsory for them to join the Head Start programme this year. And last question, English levels. How does the school determine student English levels and whether it's compulsory? Jo, could you just talk to us about that from an English assessment level, and then we will close?
Sure, absolutely. So we test every single student when they go through the admissions process. Then we can ascertain what their correct level is for their year group. So for Year 9, for example, it would be 4.5 an expectation. For Year 10, 5.0. For Year 11, 5.5, and then for Year 12, 6.5. Obviously, 6.5 is the desirable for Year 12. But very occasionally, we might have students that are borderline. They may be 6.5 overall, but they may be slightly lower in one of the components of the test that we give. In which case, we would then suggest that it were compulsory for them to do the academic English pathway programme, which would enable them to flourish, access the programme, and get good results. So that's how we identify the need for academic English pathway. Quite often I will also ask our head of English to do a separate interview with the student, because our aim is that that student can access the curriculum, can do well academically, and have a happy time. And often when they're not able to access the curriculum due to lack of English, that's when we start to see problems. So it is very much for the students' benefit.
So the final thing, thank you so much, Jo. That's super helpful. Jo, there's some questions in the Q&A which we haven't managed to get to, but we've covered off most of them. So I wonder if we could just make a note of those and answer any ones that we may need to separately. Again, last thing I'll say is that you will all receive within the next week a communication which is going to introduce you both to the boarding house of which your student or child is going to be living in here at OICB. It will have details of the house parent and staff within that house as well. And it will also include an email address of that house that you can contact right from when that letter is received, that communication is received, with any questions you're going to have over summer. So, for example, Abacus House would be abacus@OIC Brighton. But do wait for those letters to come out, allocating students, and any questions you have, feel free to reach out to us. Otherwise, we've run over slightly, but thank you so much. Again, this is recorded, so do send this on to anyone if it's helpful. But otherwise, thank you very much for being with us this morning, and yeah, looking forward to meeting you in person. And have a great summer when it comes.